Today on Behind the Brand, we're sitting down with an artist, printmaker, business owner, and creative force whose path to entrepreneurship didn't always follow a straight line. And that's exactly why we all love her. Mary Bruno is the owner of Bruno Press, a letterpress and print studio rooted in craft, storytelling, and community. But her journey didn't start with a perfectly packaged business plan. Mary tried a lot of things, explored different paths, and eventually found herself called home, stepping into her father's print shop after his passing and transforming it into something uniquely her own. Since then, Mary's built a recognizable brand, grown a loyal following through her greeting cards and prints, and turned Bruno Press into a creative hub offering everything from commissions to print parties and every little thing in between. Join us as we talk shop and dive into the realities of growing a successful creative-based business. Welcome to Behind the Brand, the podcast for small business owners, solopreneurs, and aspiring entrepreneurs who are ready to start strong, stand out, and stay bold. Each week, we'll take you behind the scenes to explore what it takes to build a memorable brand and grow a successful business. Are you ready to get behind the brand? Let's dive in. Hello, Moxieverse. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand. Taylor here, and as always, joined by the fabulous Miss Kelly Kane.
Hello.
And today we have a really fun guest that I feel like we've been trying to get for months and months and months.
Doodly-doo.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. What'd you just do?
I do what Mary does. Doodly-doo or whatever. What is she? Yeah. I'm trying to be cool like Mary. Stop it.
Okay, spoiler alert. It's Mary Bruno from Bruno Press. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We do have video, just so you know.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Oh, we're excited to have you and chat with you a little bit more. We actually just got to see you a few weeks ago. So
much fun.
Yes,
Cute little video you guys posted.
Yes, it's
Nice
always
job.
so fun. Mary, for the people that don't know you, which seems like
Who doesn't
how
know
could you not
Mary?
know Mary?
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Okay. Like,
Where should you start,
yeah.
huh?
What's your name? What do you do? Where do you live? What's your social security number?
4, 6. No. Well, in a nutshell, I'm just a gal from a small town. Yeah, I grew up around here. Went to college here, St. Cloud State, got a BFA, and then I moved away and I came back and took over my dad's letterpress print shop. That was like 20 years ago. Print shop in a garage, yep. Not for long. We're working
What?
on that. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh, I've seen this. I know
I'm trying
this.
to get out of
yes.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, just old school analog printing and design and community building and teaching and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, does that seem good enough?
Yeah, that seems
Okay.
good enough.
Okay.
But I love her presentations. I've seen 2 of them now where she talks
Yeah.
about your background and at
Yeah.
the Women's Summit. Awesome.
Yeah, it was
And
so
that
good.
was- Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I
of
do
course.
think your path to where you're at is one of the most interesting career paths I've ever heard of.
Oh, with my pew 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 pew.
Yeah,
pew.
you're,
Yeah.
and we don't have to cover everything, but you've been around the world.
Yeah.
You've explored a lot.
I think you should write a book.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a
It
lot
would
of
be
good
very
stories.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully designed
Yeah,
book,
yeah, yeah.
wouldn't
A
it?
little memoir action. I
Yeah.
think that is a possibility. But yeah, I think what is interesting about, especially when I talk, is that I'm kind of the opposite of what you see a lot of times with entrepreneurs presenting. I was a hot mess and bounced all over the place and learned all the lessons in the way that only I can learn, right? So I think it validates people that tried something and it didn't work. And you know what I mean? It wasn't like I went to college, made a business plan and launched a business and here I am. It's just been a million different things. And I think that resonates with a lot of people that don't know what they want to be when they grow up yet. And that's totally okay, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So summarize your path a little bit.
I always knew I was artistically inclined, so I knew I wanted to do something with art. And, the funny thing about me is that my dad was this incredible designer, silkscreen printer, letterpress, all the things. As I was coming up in St. Cloud State, because he taught there, I pushed really hard against everything he was. And I was like, I'm a fine artist. And I sort of had this idea in my head that fine art was better than design. Like, who does that? Who puts that in our head?
Yeah.
I just sort of had in my head that I was not anything that my dad was, and I was my own thing. Of course,
You want to make your own path.
at 20,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know everything, right?
Right, yeah.
What a
Duh.
yeah, but through my path and through meeting printers like me, which took forever because I think even spending time at like the Minnesota Center for Book Arts, which is a lot of like really perfect printers and really like perfect book artists. And then there's me, right? Covered in ink and making a mess and still not quite feeling like I belong. I think when I met one of my mentors, Paul Kennedy, he kind of like empowered me. He was like, girlfriend, you're a printer. Like, stop trying to be
Someone else.
some
Something else,
shit you're
yeah.
not. Like, you're a printer. And I think it was like around that time that I was like, yeah, and that's pretty badass. And like kind of started to like accept and appreciate the craft for being badass too, because that's another thing that I think people poo-poo, right? Like,
Oh, you work on your press operator.
yeah. So like
It's an art, though.
it just took me forever to get there. And it doesn't matter, like, time-wise, I didn't know and I didn't get it for a long time. And then once I did, I just started to embrace it, So I think that was like a big turning point for me.
Right, but you went and did a million different jobs first, and then
Yes.
you were called home.
The big caveat with me coming back to St. Joe in 2005 was my dad passed away, right? So prior to that, kind of believed that my art would be my hobby, would be my side gig, because
Because who makes money with
Right.
art?
Yeah, who makes money with
Besides
art, yeah.
teaching, which I wasn't going to do, who makes money with art, right? So bartending, cake decorator, camp counselor. I worked at a museum where I got fired from a lot of jobs too. And that I also think is a good lesson to get
Yeah.
fired. And like,
Why did you get fired?
I got fired for a myriad of reasons from a myriad of different jobs. One, I was a museum docent, and like I was supposed to tell people not to touch the art, but I'd be like,
Touch it.
just touch it. And I think that wasn't acceptable. So I did get fired. But there was some wild art that was like fuzzy and stuff. And I was like, bro, you got to touch it, So not my job. Not my job. I got fired from a ton of jobs, but I think that it always helped me understand that I can do anything to make money. Like I can work. I can bartend. I can, all these different things. But the art stuff was just always there. Then I was always coming back to work in the shop with my dad and make stuff, carve lino blocks, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I did a million things, taught preschool. That's always a good story.
Yes.
But, yeah, like I think that path is pretty wild.
So then your dad passed away and you came back, and that's when you stayed.
I think even with that, I've been this like entrepreneur mentor for these e-scholars out at St. Ben St. John's. Sometimes I get kind of jealous of these young kids that seem to have it all figured out and they've got their business plan and they're going to launch their business. And I think like, I'm 50. I've never written a business plan. You know what I mean? Like I still kind of stumbled in and messed up a million different times in order to sort of figure out my track, But yeah, moved back because I was like, what would we do with all that letterpress stuff,
Yeah, 'cause
And
he had it in his garage.
yeah. And I felt really like kind of called to do something with it, that I didn't feel when he was alive because I was like, oh, he'll always be
He's
there.
doing, yeah, he's doing that.
So
And at that point, you knew how to do everything, right? Like you had
Well,
been working with him. I mean,
yes.
on the side, right? Obviously, like
yes,
out of passion.
I did, but I think, and that was part of why, like, I tried to find all kinds of other printers after my dad died because I maybe wasn't 100% paying attention to all the things I should have been, right? Because you sort of take it for granted.
Yeah.
He's always going to be here. My dad's only in his 50s. So, yeah, I think it was a little bit of a higher calling that, like, yeah, bud, you got to do this even though you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
I just started and tried this, and stuff started to stick and resonate with people, and stuff started to make money. And the things that didn't, I learned to start to let go of. That's been 20 years of that game. And I think in the last probably 4 or 5, I've just really dialed it in,
Yeah. Was there ever a moment after your dad's passing when you came back that you thought like, I'll just pack this all up and sell it?
Many times.
Yeah. Yesterday. No.
Yeah, seriously. For
10 minutes before this podcast.
yeah, for every good print day, I have like 5 or 6 where I'm bawling on the floor, like, what the fuck am I doing? And, just burn it to the ground and start a dog walking business or something,
Well, I have to say, it's hard.
It is
I could not carve those blocks.
Yeah,
You
that's a
cut
little
yourself.
humbling, right?
I'm thinking I'm pretty artistic. And our creative director is the worst one.
Yeah, he's
That was
our
the
creative
best.
director who is also an insane illustrator, designs comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, has the worst lino block.
because it's just like, I don't use these muscles. And the only
big
reason
hands.
mine was legible is because Mary helped me. She felt sorry.
I'm telling you, that was kind of a cool thing for me too, because like I think everybody sort of starts to think like, oh,
Well, the way you look, it looks like you're just carving
Right.
butter.
Right.
And I'm
And
like,
I mean-
oh my God, I cut myself. I
You do some of the most
Band-Aids.
intricate stuff, right? With
Yeah.
the scroll you did, that's all lino cut, right?
Yeah.
Art. I mean, it's
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I think
beautiful.
if you
My
have been
gosh.
doing something for 20 plus years, you better can be good at
Yeah.
it, or else maybe look into something else.
okay. So you moved home. You took over the printing shop. I mean, from what I know from your story, having heard it and being a friend of yours, things kind of started to turn when you were doing the greeting cards, right? That's where you kind of started to make
The
a name for
sweary
yourself.
cards.
Yeah.
Sweary cards.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sweary,
tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that.
The greeting cards were the first big thing that generated real income. That was a big wake up call where, holy shit, this could really be something. And I think part of its success was I didn't see somebody doing that and then be like, I want to do that too. It just organically happened,
yeah.
which was, the story that I tell is like, as soon as I moved back, my dad passed away real suddenly. Like he had an aneurysm, right? So he just gone. So the shop was left how he left it. That was hard being in there for a long time, trying to like figure my way and not feel all effed up about it, but I would pull my niece, I would go get her from school. I think she was like 13 or 14, because she was an art kid too. And like, it was just nice to have her in there to like laugh and kind of take the edge off,
Yeah.
right? And so we would just be in there drinking coffee, chewing bubble gum, and like printing dumb shit that would make us laugh. And like I always joke too, like my target demographic from day one has been me. Do I find it humorous? If so, print that shit,
Yeah.
Right.
And so I started doing that and, started in the way of doing art fairs, which like, 15, 17, 20 years ago, it wasn't so saturated. Like there's 100 art fairs on any given day. Back then, there was this Avon Area Arts group, and they would have these big art fairs, not often, and so it would just draw a shit ton of people. And so I got to sort of see, will these cards move, And yeah, they were sweary and salty, and my whole thing, because I'm East Coast born, like I'm born in Pennsylvania, but I grew up in Minnesota. So sometimes I feel like that's the difference between me and most people, right? Like I just say what I think, and Minnesotans often like
It's crazy. She's
I'm
from
born,
Michigan.
I'm born in Detroit.
Yeah.
same.
Like,
yeah, that's
I know.
it's a thing. It's a
That's
thing.
why we
Yeah.
are like that.
yes. So yeah, my tagline was always like, I'm just printing what you're thinking, right? Like you don't have the
Yeah.
balls to say, right?
Exactly.
But like I would watch these people buy my cards, and I tried to figure out who is my demographic, and I'd watch these old ladies come up, and I'd be like, kind of brace myself to get yelled at, and they'd have a fucking stack of cards, and they would just dole out dough, and I'd be like, fascinating. Yeah, looks like you're into this too. And so then like the more I did it, and then I started doing the stationery show, which was a huge leap for like small town Joe to like go to the Javits Center in Midtown Manhattan and set up a booth. I did it for like maybe 6-7 years. And my theory is that like, it was kind of before being so involved in social media to know what's hashtag trending and shit. Not like I care, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To
You-
see
it
what
was different.
other people are doing. I didn't know what other people are doing. I didn't care what other people are doing. And so my stuff automatically didn't look like anybody's. So all these retailers were walking into my booth, and they're just like, what the fuck is this? And so it just kind of blew up. And so for about 6-8 years, I had reps, and I had, like, it was amazing. It was really cool. I think that and I made like real grown up money while those reps were doing it. But I think towards the end, because they retired, which was kind of perfect because I probably would have stayed in it because it was good money, but it just ripped the Band-Aid. They were both like, we out. But it ended up being good because it just was so pigeonholed. It was just about the cards, and it has to be funny, and they have to be funny and keep going. We want
Pressure was on.
And then it just started being not fun. It started being not funny. It started being not quality. And so I just kind of was like, we're going to ease up, and the cards will do what they do, and they're still great, and they still get wholesaled on Fair, which is like kind of a retailer Etsy.
Yeah.
And I still have stores that I met at the stationery show that still order from me, and we're bros,
Yeah.
like we hang out because they're these awesome small independent retailers all over.
And though, I mean, that's your vibe though, right? Like those are the people that you want to be working
Yeah,
with.
you're not in
Yeah,
Hallmark or
Yeah.
whatever.
Totally, yes.
So do you still make new cards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the cool thing is,
Yeah, did you see her Christmas cards?
Yeah, I
this year?
do. I don't know how old they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie passed them out to his kids. He loved
oh,
them.
freaking Eddie.
Yeah.
He is my target demo.
Yeah,
What
he
did the
is.
one say? Home is where the flowers ain't.
Yeah, I gave that to
one?
Maddie.
Yeah, so-
and then he gave Lainey holy shit balls because she says that a lot. And then the other one is festive as fuck.
See, I'm just telling you. So now the beautiful thing about the cards is when something really funny strikes me, it goes on a card.
Yeah.
So they're
that's
great.
cool.
So
Yeah.
they're great.
Nice outlet.
Yeah. And so like if I do 5 cards a year, that's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. And okay, so you obviously you don't just do cards, and once you stop doing all of the cards, that really opened up the opportunity to do a lot more. So what are some of the maybe the more recent years, some of the really cool big projects that you've had the opportunity to work on?
Well, yeah, you mentioned Scroll, which was obviously way outside of my normal realm, but creating a 36-foot religious text scroll that was letterpress printed in my shop over the pandemic with Richard Bresnahan, local master potter. It was part of a sculpture that was part of a new sculpture garden that they developed at St. John's with some big donor funds. It was a really cool project. It was another thing that, like, I've been really good about saying yes to opportunities that are just different that I wouldn't think of, and then realizing, like, holy shit, I really excelled at that. Like being my own kind of creative director, because I came up with all of it. Like that's pretty amazing. And it was almost a year project, and I had kind of 4 interns working with me at that point, and I had a gal that designed the text. It's awesome, and it's still touring. I kind of want to work on the next thing with that, to create like a workbook that would be to continue to work with the sisters, because like I said, it happened during the pandemic, so I didn't get to really work directly with the nuns at that time, even though it was about the sisters.
The scroll is the rules
Rule of St. Benedict, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the whole point and the reason why, well, Richard and I have become close and kind of like respected colleagues, but he really wanted this piece of art to be done by a woman, from a woman's perspective, about the women of the Benedict monastery, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I got chills.
yeah, totally. And so I got really involved with the sisters, but then as the pandemic hit, like they burrowed underground
Right.
pretty much. So I was on my own, but I do want to like go back and do kind of like a commentary kind of workbook where I could do more imagery and work with them more directly. And
Because you have a
Maybe-
good relationship with them. What's
yeah.
the one that you speak with often? What's her name?
Sister Michaela.
Yeah,
a
she's funny.
spec-
She's funny. Like
great.
listening to just the two of you talk, it's kind of like, ooh, she's a nut. Yeah, great.
She's a fiery little sister.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, that was a good one. But then my artwork, like just having a show at St. Cloud State recently,
Yes, congratulations.
big thrill, big
Yeah.
thrill. And now it's moving. I'm taking it to a place in Detroit. It's called Signal Return. So I'll be heading there end of January.
Nice.
So I'll have a little opening there, and then I'll teach a workshop. But yeah, the art stuff really fills my cup. Posters are like really special to me too.
You speak, as we mentioned, time to time.
That women's summit was really epic. That felt really good.
It was good.
I want to do that again. I feel like that has led to some other things that are coming up that I'm kind of excited about. Yeah.
But then you do these really cool things like what we just talked about, a print party.
You do the print parties. You have the
Late night
typography.
typography.
You have a subscription thing. I think for me, as someone on the outside, I think it's really cool to see how you've been able to diversify your business, to find different ways to, one, get people encouraged and excited to be creative. You know, I mean, I think the first time when we went to a print party, I was like,
What
I
is
don't want
this?
to do. I don't want to do. Like, not because I don't love Mary, but I just that's not something that
Like, this is what we're doing for Christmas.
This is like that's like just not something that would naturally excite me.
Because you're not a graphic designer. or
Correct.
whatever, yeah.
And because I think I suck at art. Like I'm just not good at it. So I don't want anybody to see me do art. But I had so much fun. I was like, when are
Wasn't
we
it
doing
fun?
that again? So I think
2 years
that
later.
that's really cool. But then also to find, different ways to bring income into your business.
Well, I want to say you're not a commercial printer. You printed my wedding invitations, but that's not primarily. You're not.
Right.
I mean, it's a lost art. It's an expensive way to print. It can
Totally,
be. So
yep.
you're not like printing brochures and
Right.
things like
Yeah.
that.
Correct.
So what she's doing is she has to be creative. And that's,
Yeah.
I think that's the cool
Yeah.
thing for us. Like, how do you make money at this? I mean, that must have been after the greeting cards. It's something, I mean, you need to live, right?
Totally. That has been, and I think like the print parties, what I've learned with that is that like there's something about that space. There's something about everybody walks in and I love the smell and looking around. There's something about being just in that space. So I already know that that is a thing. And so then I think that again how I've pushed against everything my dad was, and then I realize I'm exactly
Your dad.
exactly my dad,
Yeah.
and I'm a fool. But like I've got teacher tendencies too. I don't want to be like a full-time teacher, but I do like to teach. And I think like teaching something you love makes people excited about it, even people that aren't printers. It's just fun to learn something. And so starting to do that because people were like, what is letterpress? People still don't know. So is it scrapbooking? Like nobody knows until they get in there. And so the cool thing about figuring out a template for like a 3-hour kind of like immersive thing is like, if I do it like this and everybody gets to run the press and set type and be responsible for something and then take a poster home, like it is so empowering. And so it's like super fun for me. And then I watch people of every walk of life. A lot of these recent print parties were like financial institutions and counseling centers.
Just
and
small
like,
groups that
yes,
want to go do an activity,
something
right?
different.
Yeah.
And like
So we did it for Christmas twice now, like every other year.
and
we're
you
gonna-
guys, since you've been doing it consecutive, you get to sort of go to like level 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year will be level 3. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I'm not sure we passed level 2, but
I think
I
you
did. Mine
It's
was
beautiful.
fine.
You did
Really,
good.
that poster is.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
But I think like the cool thing has been, and continues to be with these parties, is that like it is a team building, something different. We sort of sit around that table and share and kind of open up and laugh and tell stories. And I think by the end of it, people are just really surprised, like, this was amazing. And I would never think of it. So the print parties have been a really lovely way to get people more aware of what I do. And then I think they're kind of lifers after that. They're like, I want to come back for a typewriter party. I want to shop here. I want to, yeah.
so if I may be so crude to ask, how do you earn your income? By all these little things all combined, or is there one thing that you do more of that kind of pays the bills? I mean, do the cards take care of that and then everything else is gravy? Like, I mean, because I think that's a question for a lot of people who want to like take a chance on art
Yeah,
and do
and
that. Like, oh my gosh.
At the top of this, when we were like, you can't be an artist to make money. Like, well, you can.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that's another big turning point in my career. I think for the first at least 10 years, I resigned to believe I would always be poor. And that's also some bullshit. Who puts that in our head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I
To-
agree with you on that because I try to tell people, you can make a living doing
Stop
what we
it.
do. Yeah.
But it's like I'm in my own way,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know who tells me that or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just a thing, right?
Yeah.
And then, it's kind of nice to commiserate and talk to you guys about money stuff because oftentimes I feel like it's me being judged when people want to nickel and dime me and and I'm
Yeah.
like, it has nothing to do with Mary Bruno per se.
Yeah.
It's creatives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's people being like, well, my granddaughter does this.
Yeah.
Why does it cost so much? And you're like,
Well, ask your
Does
granddaughter
she?
to do
Does she
it.
really?
yeah.
do
And
that?
also, does she? Right.
I know what I want. Can you just do it cheaper?
Exactly.
It's simple.
Oh, do you?
But
yeah.
I think that like, so it's interesting when it comes to how do people make money doing this. I think that I have become this interesting person, especially in the letterpress world, that like is doing it, and I'm not married to an anesthesiologist or I don't have rich parents, right? Like, so really doing it, I like to make that difference because I know a lot of people that have those other things and they're like, yes, hustle, bitch. And I'm like, also,
Shut up.
but like, I think making the decision that like, even if it makes me uncomfortable to tell you what these things cost, this is where I'm at, and this is what these things cost, and this is how I put things in place. And the point I was going to make was being this person in the letterpress world that's doing it, I get phone calls from people that are like, okay, what do I got to do? You know, and basically they're kind of like, in 2 minutes, tell me your secret, right? Like it's this one thing or
Just
whatever.
pick your brain.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really frustrating. But I had this resident, Amy, that was here, a printer from Muncie, Indiana, for 2 months. Amy came out, and basically Amy decided to quit their job and come after this in a hardcore way and reached out. Everyone was like, you got to talk to Mary Bruno. You got to talk to Mary Bruno. So Amy shows up in Minnesota, and, you know, I want to spend time here, and I want to learn from you. And to me, that's really respectful. Like, that's 10 times what the dickhead that calls me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you want to get, you know, balls deep with me, excuse my crudeness, I appreciate that more than the, like, in 10 words or less, tell me, right? So I said, you know, for 2 months, I opened the door to everything. To be like, you want to see what I do? Come see, right? And so what's really neat about Amy is they're really organized and Excel spreadsheets and blah, 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 which of course I am not. So it was really interesting to see Amy break it down to like, these are the things that you're doing, which is a lot. And these are the different revenue streams. And these all seem like they're really moving and successful, and you could do more. And if you had someone like me that could push it more, you could even you know.
Oh, she helped you a little business consulting.
Yeah, and actually, I think in theory, Amy might come back for Bruno Press 2.0, because I don't think I can do it by myself.
I got chills.
Oh,
I know.
yeah, me too.
I know, very beautiful stuff. I think that
From Muncie to St. Joe.
I'm
Sounds
just saying,
like a
one
great-
small town to the next. But Amy did fall in love with St. Joe, and how can you not?
How could
and
you not?
spending time with you guys and all of that was just like this creative force. But back to this question about how do I make money? So when I look at the different buckets, there's definitely the wholesale bucket, which is very low maintenance and very on its own, which is great. Just the greeting cards, and they do well. I don't think that I could do it just with that, but it's very lovely. That is very like low maintenance, but fair does its thing. And then I would say it's the print parties, and then it's like the workshops. Teach these workshops both online and in person.
Oh, you do?
All
Okay.
over, yeah. And that's a great gig. And I sort of have that dialed in so that gets around to different colleges and different art institutions.
And you have your pricing set
Yep.
for that. And,
Yep,
okay,
and it
cool.
is awesome. And I have it, like I've done it so many times that I have like the
Yeah.
timing and the
You
blah,
know,
blah, blah.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So those are great.
So you're teaching people what you know.
Yep.
You're not
I'm-
selling a piece of art.
I'm
teaching.
sharing what I know. Yep. And then I do custom stuff. You know, I'm not chasing wedding invitations, or I'm not chasing blah, 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 but like the special people like yourself, or like the Sagen invites, stuff like that. People that have a budget and have a vision and
want
want
something very
something
unique.
beautiful and luxurious. Those people keep showing up too.
Okay, that just happens organically.
Yes.
Yes, cool.
And then I would say my retail stuff, you know, is just, that feels a little more gravy to me.
When people come into your shop and buy it, or
Website.
Online, yeah.
Oh yeah, online.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So I have a decent following, and with the subscriptions and the
I love that idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you make it work.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wow.
The last thing that I kind of want to touch on before we wrap up here is going back to St. Joe. When I think of St. Joe, there's a few things that I think of, and you are one of those things.
That's
think
amazing.
of Mary Bruno.
Yeah.
Mary Bruno and St. Joe just like coexist to me in my brain.
I think we should rename the city.
Yeah.
I think there's
Saint Bruno.
Saint
Saint
that would
Mary.
fight you, yeah.
Saint Bruno.
St. Bruno, yeah.
She gets in with the sisters. Maybe
It's-
we can.
So you do a ton of stuff for that community, which has just boomed over the last, let's just say, 6 years.
Yep.
I moved up here in 2016, so this will be my 10th year that I've been living in central Minnesota. And when I came here, there was really not much in St.
Yeah.
Joe. Like, I think Bad Habit had just kind of
Okay, now I
opened.
want to take a little credit for
And-
St. Joe.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
Brad Habit was
Yeah.
my client, and I
It was.
told him he was looking for a spot across the street,
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, why don't you check out St.
St.
Joe?"
Joe. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was looking down here.
Yeah, and then he was just concerned about Beaver Island had just
Sure.
opened, and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
So
I don't
I-
think it would be what it is if it was here.
Yeah.
I mean, not because of St. Cloud, but because it I think breweries have to have their own little ecosystem.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
And I think that's one reason why they're surviving. A lot are closing. Anyway, so that was all
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, good job.
But
Molly.
there's
Yeah.
just, it's really grown into a really beautiful little community. And I think that you've played a
Yes.
huge part
Talk
in that.
about that.
Yeah. So what does that St. Joe community mean to you?
To be honest, moving back to St. Joe at 30 was not a great, I didn't.
Wasn't in your plans.
No, I think I was like, ugh. And I probably had a pretty good sized chip on my shoulder about it. And I thought, what's even cool here? So I think once I realized this is it, this is where I'm going to be, I decided I want to get involved and I want to take charge of more stuff and I want to get some good ideas in there. Cause I'm a doer. You and we all have that in common. I don't like squawking about stuff and not seeing it happen.
Yep.
I'm going to be all right, let's do this. Even the Shop Small Crawl, that's almost been 15, 16 years of just doing something to get everyone involved and realizing rising tides. I don't necessarily want to do this by myself, and realizing that a lot of those businesses had, cool entrepreneurs that were open to working together and weren't threatened by each other. There's probably drama everywhere, but not saying that there isn't in St. Joe, but for the most part, people really loved being rallied and let's do it. I think I just stepped up and started doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And here we are. So I don't know that I want to do it forever or whatever, but for right now, it's got traction and people can see the difference and they can see what's happening and they want to put some skin in the game and get behind things. So that's exciting. I'm proud of it because I think St. Joe helped me realize my business, in being supportive to this weirdo little letterpress printer. So that give back feels good.
But you don't have a traditional shop.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so you're
Everyone's
doing
always
it-
wait, this is residential? Yeah.
The first time I was there, I was like, I don't think I'm in the right place.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
thinks that.
that might change. I think in your Women's Summit talk, you talked about, you're a printer, but what you really learned through this journey is that you're about community.
Yeah.
So you can have those two things at
Totally.
once. Yeah.
Totally. And I think sometimes it is hard to be the print shop that's not downtown. So when St. Joe gets buzzing and full of people, they ain't coming to, so I'm not feeling that. And sometimes that's hard. But I think I don't want to be a retail card
Yeah.
shop. So I got to kind of check myself. Bro, that's not what you're looking for. So
Yeah,
calm
right.
down. But really learning and working together with the colleges and the sisters and the businesses, with its bumps or not bumps, it has been amazing. It's taught me a ton about how to work with all kinds of people, you know.
Right.
So
That's just the realization that none of us are doing it alone.
totally. Agreed.
It's a good note to end on.
Yeah, but before we wrap up, I do
Okay.
have two quick questions that I want to ask you that we try to ask most of our guests. What is your go-to business tip for others that are thinking about starting a business?
I try not to poo-poo anybody that has, no matter how old they are, that has desires to start a business. I say, hell yeah, go for it. But I think I try to drive in straight away that you can't do it alone. You're not an island. You need to start your community building now, because you realize if you think you can do it by yourself, you will start and fail by yourself, right? I think with all of it, the community building has to start straight out of the gate. I think that's my big, because it took me a minute to get there, maybe 10 years. And
Right,
so, yeah.
right.
Okay, and then lastly, what is one piece of advice you've received along the way that's made a difference?
I think my little story about Amos kind of knocking me off my high horse a little bit, to be stop being what you think you're supposed to be, or being what other people think you should be, or embrace
guy.
who the f- you are and just do that. Stop chasing what you think people want. Stop looking for answers on TikTok or whatever. You know what I mean? I create for me, and I think buying into that, I am a printer, I am a craftsman, and really getting behind that.
You're an artist.
Yeah.
You're all
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you, Mary. There, she did it.
Yeah.
Did it for you.
Just for you.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us
Thanks
and
for having
making the trek from St. Joe over to St. Cloud. We appreciate you. You are such a good friend of the Moxies. We're excited to have you in our sphere and hope to continue this partnership for many years to come.
Super honored to be here. This is quite a beautiful space. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are effing killing it. And
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks
Yeah.
for inviting me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
of course. Awesome. All right, Moxieverse, we'll see you next week for the next episode of Behind the Brand.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Brand. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend. If you didn't, share it with an enemy. And make sure to leave us a 5-star review. To stay connected, follow us at the links in the show notes below.